Thought I could count on you. I thought we had a deal. I gave you all I had. Put you in front of friends. It was me and you. For it was one of them. I introduced you to them. I should have seen it then. It was never about me. It's what I could do for you. What you could get about me. Who I could introduce you to. I knew the truth. Still there was nothing I would do for you. A fool for you. You break my legs. Still jump through hoops for you. I thought we had a deal. 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 It's hard to let you go when I'm still holding on. Said I should leave you, I don't need you, should be moving on. This shit is stupid hard, and I ain't ready for it. Said I should leave you, I don't need you, I ain't ready for it. They weren't there for it, no, they weren't there, were they? They weren't there when she despaired to have her prayers working. She wanted to die daily, and I was 9 maybe. I'm on the couch with mom, talking about don't cry, baby. We'll be alright, baby. Yeah, we gon' make it through. I'm scared to death inside, but I know I can't let it through. I ain't know where to turn, I didn't know what to do. You gave me hope when there was none. I owe my life to you. I thought we had a deal.
Leave me not ready to let you go. Let you go. I'm begging, don't leave me. Take anything you want, everything if you want it.
You gave my life purpose before it had any. You gave me courage when I didn't have any. We were the best of friends before I had any. I gave you all I had. You turned your back to me. You set a trap for me. I never seen it coming. You had me blind to if I didn't want to feel you numb it. You left my life a wreck, and I hate you for it. I'm still in love with you, and I hate you for it.
What's up, my peoples? Welcome to St. John Live. My name is Mike St. John. I am in long-term recovery. My sobriety date's June the 1st, 2016. How are we doing out there? Let us know you in the comments. Let us know you here. Let us know where you're watching from. Let's post our sobriety clean dates. Let's give a hope shot for people out there. Let us know where you're watching from. Grateful to be here on this Monday night. Listen, it's been a long day. We've been wide open today. I had about 15 minutes to get ready, and here we are. We're doing the best we can do. I just threw on a white shirt, and here we are. But just grateful to be free today. Grateful to have a peace of mind. Grateful to be able to help people, be a service to people. And just grateful to be alive, not in jail. And, it's just awesome. I want to give a shout out here to my page sponsors, One Stop Phone Shop out of London, Kentucky, 606-657-2750. Daryl Hudson, Josh Maxey over by London Walmart. Any of your electronic needs, iPhones, Androids, iPads, B-pads, C-pads, whatever you want to call it, they can fix it, they can sell it, they can do whatever. Another shout out to GetLive.com, Adam Larkin. Adam is having an event here in September at the North Laurel High School in London, Kentucky. Hit him up on Facebook, man. I'll be sharing the flyers out. But check out his clothing line, man. This guy, he is on the ground running, man, pushing, promoting, get recovery shirts, get events just wide open. Just powerful. I mean, I can't put a word on it, man. He's wide open. Jasmine's House Recovery Home for Women, 859-319-4787 or 859-300-1503. About forgot my phone number, huh? Protea has beds open in Somerset, Kentucky. Men and women. If you're out there struggling, you know somebody struggling, send them my name number. We'll get them a bed, get them the help they need. Shout out to Aaron Heath. But Protea Behavior and Health Counseling, man. There's some awesome people. I'm going to get in these comments before we get started, man. Give some shout outs here. Heidi Kizik, always here. Good evening. Aaron Heath, you're coming up next, bro. So get your game face on. Facebook user, I don't know who it is. Here we go. Joe Price, welcome. Denzel Hall with Isaiah House. What up, bro? Good to see you. Robert Martin, good to see you in here, man. Rebecca Lemon, that's my cousin. You hear me? Let's see. Goober Friends. Goober Friends. Check them out on Facebook, man. They're doing a lot of stuff for the kids, man. I like what y'all are doing. Keep doing it. I believe the message needs to get to the kids, and maybe they won't end up with a life that we chose to do. And maybe we can help somebody. Paul Martinez, what up from Quincy, Washington, 6919. Never going back to the dark side. You know, me and my wife was talking the other night, and you know, a lot of people choose to relapse, man, but you know, you don't choose to use overnight, man. Something's got to be going on in your life for you to finally decide to pick up drugs and alcohol. You know, life is hard, life gets stressful. Being a father, you know, helping my wife with this business, putting people in treatment, just, you know, life is hard. But listen, drinking and drugging ain't going to take away the feelings, and I'm not going to let it take away my feelings. I have people I can reach out to today and talk to. That's the awesome part about being in recovery, man. We have real friends that love us today. Lisa Marie Reed, all the way from Indiana, I'm pretty sure. Charles Getter, 9. Where are you from, Charles? Put it in the comments here. 9-15-18. Rebecca Lemon, Nicholasville, 2-18-15. Sandy Spalding, June the 4th of 2022. Welcome, Sandy. Graham Sullivan, I see you, little man. Proud of you, bro. Jamie Luster, my man, 821-18, old Hope Center one time. If you're from the Hope Center alumni, whatever, hashtag Hope Center. If you work for the Isaiah House, hashtag Isaiah House. If you work for Protea, hashtag Protea Strong, whatever you want to do. It's open here. We talk about drugs, alcohol, God, Jesus. We talk about a little bit of everything. You know, that's awesome about this platform, man. We just, you know, we just keep it real, raw, and honest. Joe Price from Ohio. Cameron Arnold, my man, right here in Richmond, Kentucky. Teresa Henry, 21. What's 21 mean? Huh? Aaron Heath, 11-1-21. That's 3 days before my birthday. Cassandra Turner, I really needed this, 7-13-22. Clarksville, Indiana. Welcome, Cassandra. Just hang out. This dude I got on here has got a powerful message, man. Hopefully you get some hope from him, and we all get some hope from him. Like I need him just as much as he needs me. And we need y'all just as much as you need us tonight. You see, that's how this works. Heidi's watching from Lexington, Kentucky, January 23rd, 2022. Sally Devine, welcome all the way from Nevada. Facebook user, I don't know who you are, 12-8-15. 12-8-15. I know that clean date. Puma Interventions, Alan Barnett, welcome. Jonathan Silvers, welcome. We got Jasmine's House, Recovery Girls in here. Welcome. Hope you're on that couch, not drinking Kool-Aid and not drinking, eating popcorn on that couch, huh? One time. Now, enjoy this, man. Bobby Rodell, all the way from, Champaign, Illinois, 2/23/08, 14 years, 6 months. Thank you, Bobby, for paving the way. Thank you for everything you do for the recovery community. Jonathan Silvers, 3/27/18. Got Drew Hicks in here, clean and sober. That's what's up. Look at this handsome man. Talk to me, boy. Daniel Hager, welcome. Jessica Kirkland. Daniel Kitchen, July 8th, 16. Last time I ever put meth or heroin in my body. Keep doing it, man. 606 representing. Y'all better tighten up. The sheriff's in town. Whoop, whoop. I hear you, boy. Joe Shelton, my man. Get it on. Show out, huh? Love you, Joe. Thank you, man. I'll be in town, I think here in a few weeks. I'll stop by and check you out. John Connor, welcome. I see. Jennifer Spradlin, 5/16/16. Anita Perry, January 27th, 21. Sandy Spalding from Indiana. Alan Barnett says, I'm proud of you guys, excited about everything that you got going on. Listen, man, we're just messengers. We put one foot in front of the other. We got a team behind us that believes in us when we didn't believe in ourselves, and they push us every day, and my guest is one of those guys, so just sit still. Oxford House in the house. Annie Marie Vines, 20 months clean. Shout out to that's my wife on that Facebook user. I don't know why it's holding her back. But yeah, Alexis Hembry, Protea Strong, 10/7/2020. Who else we got in here above? Aaron Heath, Brooks Bentley, Jasmine's House, Renee, Amanda, Brandy, Rachel, and the GOAT. Who's the GOAT? She's got jokes tonight. John Connor, let's go, Brandon. Chris Red Goins, what up, St. John? What's going on, man? Chris Goins. Nathan Feltner, how are you, Mike? It's Pete. Used to work on Burton's crew with the. Hey, what up, Nathan? I know who you are, bub. Yeah, good to see you in here, man. Be the change. But yeah, let's get back to this, man. Hit that share button, hit the heart button, man. We got 13 hearts. We got 53 people in here. Hit that heart button. Let's share this out, man. Listen, I was informed last week that Madison County's overdose rate was the highest ever in 1 week last week. There's some bad dope going around here, man. It's just awesome that these guys deliver the message to me of what's going on here and where we reside at in Madison County. That's why I do what I do, man. And my wife does what she does, man. Is we can't change the world, man, but one message or one word in our sentence could change somebody's life. I don't know. Only God's got that power, man. And I tell everybody, man, tell your story because your story has weight. Your story has meaning. If you've been to hell and back, man, tell your story. I know anonymity means a lot to a lot of people, but I recover out loud because, that's just what I choose to do, and we respect anonymity. But yeah, I'm going to bring Kidwell on here, man. Stephen Kidwell. What up, OG?
What's happening?
What's going on, Big Steven? And I misspelled Steven's name earlier on a post, and I want to apologize. I'm sorry, I can't spell. And but we're on here. So what's going on, Steven?
Man, living the dream. And yes, it's Steven, not Stephen. You know what I mean?
Stephen, I'm sorry. I thought I was thinking of Stephen Curry. You hear me?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I do got a good jump shot. So
I know. So how's your day going, man? How's your day?
Going pretty good, man. Been traveling a little bit and got to talk to some sponsees and do some work. I'm a blessed man. What I do doesn't feel like work. I mean, it feels like work, but it's something I love to do.
Right,
so
right.
To be 34 and to be doing something I love, that's a lot. That's a blessing. So.
Yeah, it is, man. I'm super proud of you, man. Thank you for everything you do for us. Thank you for just being with me from day one. I think me and you met in the Hope Center, correct?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yes, sir.
Right
and here we are. A1 day one, huh?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Let's get into your story, man. Tell us what it was like, what happened, and just how blessed you are today, man. Let's help somebody.
All right. So, as it says there on the screen, my name is Stephen Kidwell. I'm an addict in recovery. My clean date is May 13, 2016, and that is the day that I didn't get changed. I got rescued. I got locked up May 8, 2016, and I didn't get locked up. I got rescued. So I'm here to basically share my story and to give my experience on the disease of addiction recovery process and hopefully help somebody. So I'm going to start off with a bold statement because it's on my spirit. Before I speak, I ask God to use me as an agent and as a vessel, and so I can try to get myself out of the way. But I want to say first, if you believe drugs are your problem, you may not be an addict. And if drugs are your problem, just stop using. But if you find out that drugs are your problem and you find out that you've stopped using, the problem you thought has been removed and you still messed up on the inside, you might have the disease of addiction. And so what I mean is that the disease of addiction is a spiritual disease, and it manifests itself in a mental obsession that causes me to use dope. The problem when I use dope is that my body reacts abnormally to it. So one is too many and 1,000 is never enough. So for me, when I get clean, if I don't treat this spiritual disease, this mental obsession will always return. And I remember this spiritual disease is something on the inside of me. It's this emptiness. It's this loneliness. It's this insecurity. It's this, I've never felt like I fit in. I feel separate, different, and alone. I feel apart from. And I remember that way back in kindergarten. So it talks about in some recovery literature, many of us believe we had the disease of addiction long before we used drugs. And that's my story. I remember being 5 years old and watching the other kids play in kindergarten and me sitting there crying for my mom because I didn't know what was wrong with me, but I just felt like something wasn't right. And I used to cry at the end of every school day to the point to where my brother was in 5th grade. And they used to let my brother come down for the last hour and a half of school just to calm me down so I wouldn't act crazy in school. Yeah. Now, I don't know what that means to you all, but what that means to me is at 5 years old, there was something fundamentally wrong with me on the inside. And I grew up in a neighborhood called Thompson in Irishtown in Lexington. And it's not the suburbs. And especially in the late 90s, early 2000s, there was a lot that went on around there. So in the neighborhood I grew up in, if you had parents, they were probably using drugs. And if you were a teenager, you were probably selling drugs. So every time I walked out my door, I seen the reality of the disease of addiction. I was fortunate to have two parents in my house that, even though I grew up in pretty much a bad area, they taught me right from wrong. And they showed me what I shouldn't do and what I should do. They taught me morals. They taught me principles. But it doesn't matter how I was raised. There's something inside of me that cries out to need to be a part of something, right? So early on, I would have told you, as a result of my upbringing, that I'm an addict. Or I would have told you that, I'm a victim of circumstances and this is just the card that I was dealt. But the reality is there's always been something inside of me that needed more. So I had good parents, and I seen the reality of the disease of addiction. I seen people were blowing their paychecks and not being able to see their kids. And I seen people used to walk around with paint bags in their hands and stuff like that, and like stuff them in the concrete at the park before they play basketball. And I seen how crazy they were. So I knew the negative results to the disease of addiction, but something inside of me still said at a point in my life that I have to change my reality. So I remember, as I grew a little bit older, and this is going to be important because I'll go back to this, but I remember I was like 7 or 8 years old. And I remember my brother telling me about a friend that he had that was going to school, but was sleeping in his car with his parents at a park. Now, I never met this kid, didn't know anything about him. But what I know is that for like a week, all I could think about was this kid and how sad it was. Because again, I grew up in not such a rich neighborhood, but at least I had a roof over my head, shoes on my feet. Never knew that kid, but it saddened my heart, right? Now you fast forward 7, 8 years, and here I am with a blue bandana in my pocket, trying to use drugs, sell drugs, right? And trying to be a part of something that is destructive, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm harming people and I'm harming myself on a daily basis. But that 7-year-old boy actually cared about somebody. So something happened along the way, right? Yeah. Something happened along the way that got me stray from the path. So we learned in the Hope Center, St. John, about core beliefs. And a core belief comes at the origin of misconception. So there was an event or series of events in my life that changed the way that I looked at the world. Yep. And for me, one of those main events was whenever I was 14 years old, I watched one of my best friends get shot in the face with a .357. And he was sitting right beside me when that happened. And so when I looked down, I seen the hole in his face. And he survived from that. But that night changed me forever. And I didn't know it at that time. But that was one of those origins of misconception. I didn't trust people after that. I always felt this feeling of impending doom. And I remember that I had tried to smoke once or twice before that, and I really didn't like it. But after this event took place in my life, that emptiness and that loneliness, it got worse. And I always felt like something was wrong. I was diagnosed with PTSD and this mental illness called derealization. And what it does is it makes everything feel surreal. It makes you feel like you're in a dream. If you've ever stayed up all night and things have gotten real foggy on you, that's what it felt like for a while for me. So I remember being about 14, 15 years old. And again, I had seen the negative results of the disease of addiction all around me, right? I had seen broken families all around me. But I remember saying to myself, just like I'm sitting here talking to you today, that if this is the way I'm going to feel, then F it. I'm going to try to escape reality as much as I possibly can. If this is reality, I'm going to be way over here 100 miles away. Yep. And I got the reputation for being like the big pothead, like the Bob Marley kind of guy. So anything I did, I never did it lightly. I don't know how to use in moderation. I don't know how to just casually pick it up or put it down. And this is why I also know that I suffer from the disease of addiction, because there's people that grew up with worse home bringings than me. They had a worse family dynamic than me. They didn't have a father around. But when they decided they didn't want it anymore, they could pick it up or put it down. Yes. I know people that went on month binges, but when they said enough is enough, They left it alone and they never touched it again. I never had that power. And so that's what I understand. Like, the first law of war is to know your enemy. And since I've been clean, I've gotten to know more and more my enemy, which is my first step, right? If you're in a 12-step program, understanding what the disease of addiction is, my understanding of the solution is only as great as my understanding of the problem. So I have to know my enemy. And this thing lives in my spirit and it manifests in my mind. And if I don't put a spiritual connection on that, it's only a matter of time until I use. So one of the things that I did that I realized allowed me to be a part of and get social acceptability, right, and feel loved and accepted was I did music. And it's pretty good at it. And I'm still pretty good at it. I just don't record anymore or anything like that. And I don't try to make it a priority in my life. I have a full life and I'm blessed. But that's one of the things the disease of addiction took from me, because I'm very talented when it comes to music. And I'm not being arrogant. I know that about myself. There's a lot of things I'm not good at that evens it out. You know what I mean? You try to get me to work on a car, we're going to be there all day. But so I'm good at music, but the disease of addiction stripped that away from me because the drugs became more important. So, but early on, that's one of the things that got me to be a part of, that got me to be accepted. I was never that overly tough kid. I didn't like to fight, but growing up, if you didn't fight in my neighborhood, you got bullied and you got picked on every day. So I learned how to at least defend myself. That way people knew that, we used to say, you might get me, but you would know I was there. You know what I mean? And so,
no.
Yeah. And so people knew I was there. Right.
Yeah. Travis Mobley was in these comments a while ago, said that he remembers you fighting in first grade, maybe, or I don't remember. He was,
Oh yeah.
He might have been cracking a joke.
Yeah. Travis has known me for a while. Him and my brother grew up together. He's clean too. Shout out to Travis, man. He's got a powerful story too. So my whole life, I'm trying to figure out what fits and trying to make it right. And so I did the music thing for a little while. It didn't work. And I remember my brother, he may be on here, but we got these things called the amends process, and I've already made amends. So my brother was doing some stuff he shouldn't have been doing a while ago, which he's changed his life too. But he got locked up for some stuff. And I remember my brother was that guy that was always tougher. He was the guy that I looked up to. And I thought that I would never do him wrong because we were tight. And he got locked up and he had some stuff put up somewhere, and I stole that stuff. And, my intentions were, right, my thinking was, I'm going to sell this and put money on his books. Well, not one penny ever made it to his books. It all went into my bloodstream, right? So my mucous membrane. So that was my first point of looking at, this disease may be doing too much to me. It may be tearing me down a little bit too much. So I was 23 years old and I tried to get on MAT. If you're on MAT and it's working for you, I love you, more power to you. My experience is that it didn't work for me. So At 23 years old, in order for me to get this MAT, I had to go see a therapist. And so a therapist told me at 23, she said, if I'm going to help you at all, you need to start going to some 12-step meetings. Right. So this therapist knew something about me that I didn't even know yet. And she had enough humility to tell me the truth. Right. And see, there's this part in the in some 12-step literature that talks about how a therapist helped start a 12-step program. But I'll talk about that a little bit later. But thank God for this therapist that taught me that that she couldn't help a spiritual problem. See, like, they can give us great coping skills and they can show us the path to disease of addiction, and therapy works in a lot of fantastic ways. But the thing that worked personally for me was not until I met someone that spoke my language and walked my path. That's what saved me from me. God used that person to save me from me. But at 23 years old, when this therapist told me, you need to go to the rooms of a 12-step program, I told her, you must be crazy. I'm not sitting in a room full of grown men talking and moaning about their problems. I'm not doing it. I don't even trust people anyway. And so she did her best. But when I found out they weren't going to give me any benzos, I stopped going to therapy there, and I stopped going to the MAT clinic myself too. So that didn't work for me at all. And I had to get 5 more years of pain. So at 18 years old, I caught my first charge ever, which was possession of marijuana. Okay. That was it. I was in booking for like 1 hour, and my brother came and bonded me out. Right. So 23, I go to see this therapist, and I tried MAT, and it's not working. And shortly after that, there's this stuff that started coming in from Detroit and Cincinnati, and it was getting a lot of people hooked. I did the Florida trips. I did all that. And once all that started drying up, the substance that was killing people started coming in, and I jumped right on that train. And so for 5 years, I went hard. I was at the bottom of the bottom. I mean, robbing my granny, stealing my dad's stuff. I was doing everything that someone at the very bottom could do. And also I had that lifestyle that people on the streets thought was being on top as well. So yeah. I went from scraping the bottom of the barrel to having a pocket full of money and a pocket full of dope. And that created the illusion that my life was manageable. Like, if I'm not broke, I don't have a problem, right? But if you see my mugshot, I had a pocket full of money in that picture. Well, I didn't then, because they had already took it, right? But I got arrested with a pocket full of money and a pocket full of dope. But if you see my face, you can see spiritual death all in that picture. So at 28 years old, I'm in this hotel, and I don't like to stay in the problem too long, so I'll try to hurry up and get in the solution. I was in this hotel, and I was with the mother of my oldest son. And so he had just left to go with my mom, who was using at the time too. And thank God she came to pick him up. But I had the police knock on my door and say that there was a domestic dispute. Okay. And so I just got back from Cincinnati that day. And so I had a counter full of stuff. And so I'm getting all this stuff up, and I'm going to answer the door. And then they come in and they see a box of scales sticking out of the trash can. So this is how I know it's divine intervention, because I thought I was a smart criminal. Okay. Yeah. There have been times where I've been riding with the people that I rode with, and we got pulled over, and we had, enough to do a long time in the vehicle. There have been times where I had to put stuff in the areas we don't like to put stuff in, but we put it in there when we're scared. There have been times I had done that. There have been times when my vehicles had been searched that I was in, and they never found anything, because all I had was a possession of marijuana on my record. But this cop tells me he finds a box of scales sticking out of the trash can, and he tells me that gives him the right to search my hotel room. Okay. Now, I come to find out later, after I already got locked up, that that's not probable cause. But see, my smart criminal butt was like, okay, you know what? And I believe that God surrendered me that night, because if you look in that mugshot, I was tired, man.
Yeah.
I was tired, and I was beat down, and I didn't even know how tired I really was. But something I didn't even believe in stepped in, and I let those police search my hotel room knowing what was in there. And so its details aren't important, but they found enough to lock me up for a little while and put some numbers at me that caught my attention. And it was right when that 50% law came into effect as well. So basically it was 50% mandatory. If you got 10 years, you did 5 before you seen the parole board, and they just started hitting people with that. And so I get locked up, and I go in Fayette County Detention Center to detox. And if anybody's ever been in Fayette County Detention Center, you know that they don't do the best medical detox, right? And so I'm coming off of benzos. I'm coming off of what I believe to be fentanyl, heroin, and I had the worst detox of my life. And what I know now is that I needed every bit of that pain. Yep. I needed every minute of that experience. Most people come to detox for 3 or 4 days and they're out of there. They had me in detox for about 10 or 11 days. I had a nurse tell me, she gave me one of the finest pieces of counsel that I've ever got in my life. She said, honey, if we make you through this alive, you can't do this no more. So she was worried about me, and bless those nurses' heart, they took great care of me. They really did. They went out of their way. They thought I was going to seize up in there, and they made sure I didn't. I was hallucinating. I was seeing my son run around the guard tower. I thought they were calling my name over the intercom. I would walk up to the nurse's station like, hey, did you call my name? And that was probably part of my disease of addiction and hallucinations as well.
Yeah.
Nurse's station, like what y'all got.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure that was probably both. But while I'm in there, I'm delusional. And the mother of my oldest son, if you know anything about Fayette County Detention Center, when you're in medical pod, they used to have the males and the females in the same medical pod. They didn't have you in the same rooms, the same cells, but you could see. And she was like trying to tell me stuff, and I was so out of it, I couldn't make out anything she was saying. And so she got shipped to general population before I did. And then a few days later, I got sent to general population. I got sent to CC, which is assessment. And I remember I went to my first court date, and I think it's called an arraignment. And when I went to that first court date, I was in my cell late at night, and it was right when those doors shut. If you've ever been locked up, for me, the most lonely feeling was when you hear those doors clank late at night, and it's just you in that cell with your thoughts, and everything about the reality of your life is present, and it's in the front of your mind, and you know what's going on, and that's that you fucked up and you're lost, and basically life as you knew it was over.
Yep.
And so I'm laying there, and I don't believe in God at this time. Like I said, I was a smart guy, right? So smart that you see the mugshot, and everything I knew about my life was in shambles. My son was staying with someone that was using, but I was so smart that I couldn't believe in God, because I thought it was a fairy tale. There's no magical man in the sky that's running things. But I'm talking about addicts are the only people that use the word gift and desperation in the same sentence. Because I remember that night, I got so desperate that I said out loud, I said probably the prayer that every addict or alcoholic that is listening to this, or probably in the world that's clean right now, has said in one form or another. Whatever you believe in, you could probably relate to this. I said, God, if you're real, please help me. Mm-hmm. Please help me. And that was my moment of surrender as far as the drugs and the lifestyle went, right? And so I went to my arraignment, and they wouldn't lower my bond. They set my bond at a very high amount. And, this crazy, unthinkable thing happened. Whenever I got back to my cell and I got on the phone, my family had the nerve to not put up their property for me, right? They had the nerve to not put up any bond money. My dad wouldn't sell his boat for me. The nerve of him. You know what I mean?
Ain't that a shame?
I know. You think I had family that loves me, right?
Yeah.
They were down for it. I thought that they would get me out real quick, right? Because my family still loved me. But what I know now is that that is the greatest love they could ever show for me.
Yep.
Was to let me sit in there. Because what I know now that I didn't know then is my grandmother had been praying for like a year that if I needed to get locked up, she would rather have me locked up than dead. My brother was telling people, don't go around him. He's strung out. And I thought that was the most absurd thing ever. But that couldn't be closer to the truth. That was the reality, is people didn't need to be around me because I was a harm to them and I was a harm to myself. But see, my disease thinking wouldn't let me see that. I thought I was okay, right? I'd be nodding out and someone would wake me up and I'd be like, I'm just thinking, like I didn't own a pair of shorts that didn't have burn holes in them, but I thought I was okay. My son's knocking on the door while I'm nodded out in the bathroom, but I thought I was okay. So whenever they wouldn't bond me out or put up their property, I took offense to that. And so I went to another thing real quick is that my dad kicked me out of his house when I was 16 years old. Okay. My dad kicked me out because he found some weed in my pocket. And what I know now that I didn't know then is that if I wasn't doing the things I was doing out of his house, he wouldn't have had to kick me out. But I was
Right,
resentful. I was resentful at my dad from 16 to the time I got locked up at 28. But I need to say that when I got locked up, my dad was the only one at that window. And so I thought that he had left me, but I really had abandoned him. And so he didn't know what was going to go on with his son. And so at 28 years old, I'm locked up, but I start to build this relationship slowly with my dad because now he knows his son is not fogged by drug use and he can actually come and have a normal conversation with me. So see, me being locked up was actually someone else's freedom. Because see, we don't just enslave ourselves. We enslave everyone that loves us when we're in active addiction. So me being removed from the drugs was his moment of clarity to breathe. And so after I get back from this arraignment, no one will bomb me out. They move me to general population and I go to II. And so these people are sitting in there and they're like, these dudes have been in and out. They're 40, 50 years old. And some of them are younger than me, but have caught like 10 or 11 cases. Some of them are from Detroit. And they're all telling me that if I had any hope of probation, that I needed to sign up for the HOPE program in jail. And so I see inmate services and they tell me that even if I sign up for it, there's probably a 4 to 6 month waiting list. And this is another one of my surrender moments because I'm like, I could sit here in general population and just sleep away this time until I go to court, until I get indicted, until I do all this, right? Or I could get into this program that I don't know anything about. And my lawyer even told me, he's like, there's no guarantee you're going to get probation with your charges and what you're looking at. But I told him, I was like, I got to do something. I need some help. So I go to inmate services and I say, sign me up. Now, remember, I said that prayer back in assessment. God, if you're real, please help me. So they tell me a 4 to 6 month waiting list. I believe if we show a little bit of willingness and we have a little bit of sincerity, whatever this power is, this power sees that, because I had said foxhole prayers before, but I wasn't genuine, right? But at this moment, I meant it.
Yeah.
You know, I was at that moment of desperation. So I believe when I said that prayer, God finally heard me. And so what was a 4 to 6 month waiting list, 7 or 8 days after I signed up for that program, a man named Carlton Robinson came into that unit, and I didn't know that God was going to use this older gentleman to save my life. And this dude is like 5'4.5", right?
Yeah.
And I'm not the tallest dude, but he makes me look tall, right? But if you've ever met him, his presence, it commands attention in the room. And so the guard calls me down to the guard tower, and he looks at me. He's like, "You want to come to the Hope Center, bro?" And I'm like, "Yes, sir, I do." And he looks me up and down like I'm shorter than him, like gives me that look. He's like, "I don't want no bullshit out of you, bro." And so the accommodations in Fayette County Jail, right? They didn't let me go then. They didn't let me go an hour after that. These kind people woke me up at 2:30 in the morning and sent me from general population. And see, medical pod was called Unit A. The HOPE program pod was called AA, right? And so I don't care what program you're in for your recovery. For me, that was ironic because that's where I started off. And if you know the program, the Hope Center program, it's based off of that fellowship.
Yes.
So little stuff like that means something to me. So I get in there, but I'm in there with outside maintenance. I'm in there with work release, and I'm in there with the spiritual pod, and I'm in there with MRT. And the spiritual pod was anything but spiritual. Let me tell you that. So you had basically anything that you wanted. It's like just like how some recovery houses are right in the middle of the hood. You had us Hope Center guys in jail right in the middle of the hood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were
Everywhere.
bringing it in right there, anything you wanted. So I know that God was doing something for me because I had a couple people put a little bit of money on my books. And if I wanted something, I could get it. But what I did want was something I had never used before in my life. And this is how you know the disease takes different forms. They were using dip, and I had never dipped before in my life, right? But here I am wanting something to fill this void. And so I start getting this dip. I start trading pops for it, and I start being real sneaky. But see, while I'm doing this sneaky behavior, and I'm talking about without the dope, I'm hearing the message of recovery. I'm sitting in these classes where they're talking about the mental obsession, the physical allergy, if you're in the other fellowship, physical compulsion, and they're breaking down my disease for me, but I'm still doing this insane behavior, right? And so I remember sitting out in the day room, and we have moments of clarity in our life that expose what we're doing and who we are, right? And I had this moment of clarity, and it was the same type of moment of clarity I had when I would be living in hotel rooms and I would wake up to go use the bathroom, and I would see my firstborn son and I would see his mother laying in the bed, and I would get this clarity about what I was putting them through, right? And I would say to myself, I have to do something different. And then the phone would ring and I would forget all about it.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting in this day room in Fayette County Detention Center, and I have another one of these moment of clarities. It's like the God I understand was showing me something. I'm waiting, right? Because they just now got it in, and I'm waiting in the day room right here beside the guard tower, right? It's like I'm on the block watching for the police, and I'm sitting in this chair, and I'm waiting for a grown man to pull something out of his rear end so I can then in turn go put it in my mouth and chew it for a fix. Right. And so I don't know what that means to you all, but it occurred to me what I was doing. Okay. And I don't know if y'all have ever seen Life, but when Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence are talking about, them bringing some drugs into, he's like, if I got to do that, that ain't high, that's low.
Yeah.
And so I realized then, and so I hadn't got caught for what I was doing, right? But I was hearing this program of recovery, but my spirit was convicting me because I knew I was doing something dishonest. And I'm talking about God doing for me and the program doing for me what I couldn't do for myself, because we had this beautiful thing called community. Okay. And in community, people hold themselves and other people accountable. Well, I stood up and I did something that is completely against the nature of an addict. Yeah. I stood up and I got honest and I held myself accountable. And I said, I've been doing this dip, and Carlton could have sent me back to general population and made me do my time. And he didn't do that. And I seen him kick people out for less. He said, if any of y'all have ever been to the Hope Center, he said, MT1 day one. Right. Yeah. And so he started me all over in the program. But it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because the seed had been planted, but now that seed can grow and it can blossom in a spirit that's not cluttered by the disease and the secrets that I had. See, I got free. I did a little mini fist step. So I started to go after this program like my life depended on it. I made the recovery literature my best friend. I started to go hard at this. They told me, chase this like I chased the dope. And I never did anything that I loved halfway. If I loved it, I went hard for it. That's just who I am. So I start to apply for drug court too, because I'm wanting to make sure I get out of here. I don't want to do this time, right? And so I complete the HOPE program, and I peer mentor in the HOPE program, and they do a drug court assessment on me. And if anybody knows who Danielle Sanders was, in 2016, she was the main lady of drug court. So she came in and she pulled me out of the cell while I was teaching a class on problems and solutions. So she sets me in the day room and she starts talking to me. She was like, what were you doing standing up in there? I was like, I was teaching class. And she was like, no, you weren't. And she didn't believe me. And about that time, Carlton walks out of the cell and he comes and he puts his arm around me. And this is one of the most important moments of my life right here. I'll never forget this. He looks at her with his arm around me and he says, this dude's going to be successful. He just needs a shot. And what I know now is that he believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. So I get the blessing of working in recovery, right? And I get to see newcomers on a daily basis, and I challenge them and I hold them accountable. And sometimes they can't stand me, right? But what I share with them is that you've been settling for some unacceptable stuff for a long time, but I see who you really are. I see past the disease and I see who you really are. So I'm going to treat you as someone that is capable of great things, because someone believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself. And so when he walked away from that table, she looked me dead in the eye. She said, I've been doing this for years. And he's never said that about anybody. And so I'm not special, but for someone that never felt like he fit in, someone that never felt like he was good enough. I couldn't accept anybody else's love because I didn't care about me, right? But that man gave me the shot, the vision that there was a lot more to my life than what I've been living. There was so much more to me than what I've been showing for the last 28 years. And he showed me that it was possible.
Yeah.
So he stood up to Judge Ishmael for me and told him the same thing, that I deserved a shot. So by the time I seen the judge for the first time, he says, come back when you complete the program, right? So around this time of the drug court assessment, I had already completed the program. So now it was time for final sentencing. So I had a decent lawyer, but really God in the program is what got me out of this. So I had completed the HOPE program. I had done a drug court assessment. I did a fatherhood initiative class. I did a jobs for life class, and I graduated all of them in 8.5 months. So by the time I seen the judge, I had this resume, right? And so after the judge hears the lawyer, he lets me speak, and I tell him from the bottom of my heart that I'm not the same person that came in there. And you know what the powerful thing is? It was the truth, right? Like this program changed me. I don't know if you all have ever seen Gridiron Gang with The Rock in it, but he takes one of these kids back to the cell after a fight that they had in a football game. And the kid starts like trying to fight with The Rock. And he says, I don't know what this football team did to me. He says, I don't know what's happening to me, right? And so that's what happened to me whenever I started working this program, is I started changing without my permission. I didn't know what was happening to me, but those old beliefs started to get pushed to the side.
Yeah.
I was that kid, right? That 7-year-old boy that I mentioned that really cared about somebody now and really wanted to do good. But I went back and I learned how to nurture that little boy and help that little boy grow up, right? And so that's what I was learning. And I tell this judge, look, I'm not the same person anymore. And if you give me a shot, I won't let you down. And he looks at me, he says, I'm going to give you a shot because you've earned it. You deserve it, right? And I've never been back in front of that judge since, unless it was at my drug court graduation, right? So I went to the Hope Center on the streets. I met fine people like Mike St. John and some guys that I sponsor. He used to say, my name's St. John, I'm a pillhead. And so I completed the Hope Center on the streets. Dave Brown, he's the person that helped me go to the next level spiritually. He calls me his spiritual brother, which that means a lot to me. Not that I'm special, but because I've done the work for people that I admire to acknowledge me. That means something to me, that people see in me what I don't see in myself still today. I peer mentored at the Hope Center for a while. Then I moved on. I remember talking to St. John before I moved to Nicholasville about taking my first peer support job. See, I got peer support before peer support was cool.
Yeah.
You had to have 2 years back when I got my peer support certification. And so I did the test, and I was talking to St. John and another guy about my fear about moving to Nicholasville. And basically, St. John, you laid it out for me. He was like, look, you got the tools, you have the support. Why don't you go for it? And you know where home is if you mess up, right? So basically, you reminded me that I have the foundation to try what I want to do in my life. And I always thank you for that, man.
I remember the ride to you was in the back seat of the Cadillac.
Yeah. Y'all were taking me to work, right? Humility. So I tell my guys, there's no excuses. I rode the bus. I got rides from people. If I wanted to ride to get the dope, I got it. So if I want to ride to work, right, I better ask somebody. Humility is important. So I took that leap of faith. I left the Hope Center. I started doing peer support, and I worked at StepWorks for 1.5 years. And I got to work with females in the first 30 days of their recovery. And that's actually that's actually what opened my eyes to see how deeply embedded that this disease gets into females. Like, we have rock bottom and we have degradation and death, but from my experience, females experience this on such a deeper level. And it really gave me respect for women. It really helped show me exactly what they struggle with. And then it helped show me how beautiful it is when they find a new way of life.
Yep.
Because they struggle. They really do. And I had people in that process, and anything I say is more of a glory to God than it is for my validation. Okay. But I had people in that process tell me I was the first man that ever helped them out that didn't want anything from them. And so I'm talking about changing lifelong beliefs through God's power, right? Not something that I'm doing, but something I'm allowed to be a part of.
Yeah.
These women's perceptions were changing, not all of them, but God used me to touch a select few in a way to where they said, you know what? Not every man is out for something selfish. There are good people in this world, right? So I got to do that for a year and a half, and then I started managing this program in Casey County called Liberty Ranch, and it was a good experience. I have nothing to say bad about them. It just wasn't for me. And so in 2020, my sponsee brother asked me to come to Lexington and help him start a program on Versailles Road. So the first time I spoke on your show, I was managing that program, St. John.
Yeah.
And so we helped some guys, but I wanted to do my own thing. I had my own vision, and there was a lot of good things about that program, but I've always had it in my spirit that I want my own program. And so in 2021, we opened up a new way to live transitional living, and we started working with Protea. We opened up a house on Fish Street. We hustled, we grinded. We didn't see any money for a long time, and that's okay because God provided for us while we were taking care of God's kids.
Yep.
What I know is that if my motives are right, I'm going to be taken care of, right? I'm not a religious guy by any means, but I take what applies from each one. And Matthew 6:33 really sticks to my spirit. You know, seek ye first the kingdom, and all other things shall be added unto you, right? So if I'm doing God's work and my motives are correct, I'm going to be taken care of. And for over 6 years, that's been my story. And guess what? My family is too, right? And we've seen times to where we didn't know how we were going to make it to the next month, but God has provided. We opened up this men's house around that time. Me and my fiance moved in together. She was my fiance then. About a month after we moved in together, guess what? I found out I got a little mini me on the way.
I remember that.
Yeah. And he looks just like me. So she's pregnant. I met her. She was a peer support at StepWorks, by the way, and we had no idea we were ever going to be together, right? We were just friends for a long time. And then after a period of time, when she became single, right, I didn't even know that was going to happen. That's how I know that I believe it's God's plan, because I didn't even try. It just kind of happened, right? And so we've been together for 2 years, over 2 years now. But when and she's probably listening right now. Hopefully she's smiling. She's in the next room somewhere. But so we were struggling early on, and we got this men's house going, and it started to fill up. And what we seen is we had a program that worked. People were sticking and staying. And, you know, I'm still sponsoring guys. I'm still at this point, you know, I'm still sponsoring guys. I'm still working with my sponsor. I'm keeping first things first. And I'm also able to do this thing that I love. And at the beginning of 2022, we opened up a women's house. So we're helping both men and women now. We just opened up aftercare house for our men. And we had a model that works, and Protea was kind enough to ask me to help out with the other sites. You know, I believe that, again, if I'm doing the right thing for the right reasons, that's going to stand out to people. And, you know, I'm not the most educated person. I'm not the most qualified person, but I know where my heart is, right? And I know that I'm willing to do the work, right? And so I believe I get rewarded for that. And so I still sponsor people. I have he just turned 8 months old yesterday. I have an 8-month-old son. I have a 9-year-old son. That same son that I left with my mother, who was using at the time. He's been back with me for 3.5 years full time. I started off, for any of you all struggling with wanting to get your kids back, I started off getting out of jail and in treatment as a weekend father. And I was a better weekend father than I ever was full time whenever I was using, because I was able to be present in his life. And I took humble steps, and I kept my eye on the prize that if I keep doing this work, eventually in God's time, my son's going to be back with me. And this is something I had to remember, that if God took care of my son whenever I was nodding out and selling poison every day, what makes me think God's not going to take care of my son when I'm getting my life together? So for all you parents out there that are new in recovery, you're still struggling, as long as you keep your recovery first, there's no telling what could happen. It's not a promise that you'll get your kids back, but you got a lot better chance now than you did back in active addiction. So please keep moving in the right direction. So I have him back. He's wild. All these gray hairs, those are probably from him, but I'm grateful that I get to experience him being wild. I've been there since he was born. And when I held him, I remember saying to myself, I'll never let anything hurt him. And see, I didn't know that I was the biggest threat to him whenever I was in active addiction, because 15 minutes before that, I was down in the parking lot doing what we do. Yep. So I always wanted to be a good father. I always had this goodness in me, but recovery was the thing that removed all that junk out of the way and let this goodness in me start to grow so I can be the person that God would have me be. So I'm able to be a father to him. I have this 8-month-old. We just bought a new couch.
Yeah, we did too.
Yeah. Before I got on here, I was sliding because it's just me and I'm not that strong. So I'm sliding this couch all the way out to the curb like 10 minutes before we got on here. And I'm grateful that I can be present to do those things. Yep. I still sponsor guys. I work hard every day. I ask God to help me bring balance in my life because I can't bring it myself. Every time I try to do it, I just mess something else up. I still work with my sponsor. I have over six years clean. I had 6 years in May. I have a home group. I do service at my home group. I work steps, and I do my best to try to help people because I know that that's why I'm clean today. I really believe that I got saved from myself so I could be divinely crafted to help someone just like me. I don't want to single out fellowships, but there is a piece of recovery literature that really defines, I think, my journey. And it says, cling to the thought that in God's hands, the dark past is the greatest possession that you have, the key to life and happiness for others. With it, you can avert death and misery for them. So what that means to me is the things that almost killed me can actually help someone else gain a new life, right? And I believe that as people in recovery, we were divinely crafted to help someone just like us in a way that no one else can. Yep. We have a unique experience that you can't put a price tag on. And whenever we start to really walk this path, there's no telling what we can do. When we get clean and start working a program, the sky's the limit. So I'm grateful. Hopefully I said something that made some sense, and I'll be quiet.
You did, man. You did, and I want to touch on something here, man. I seen you come into Hope Center, dude, and then I seen the light come on, man, and I remember the fear. And, as you know, I just left the Hope Center too, 3 months ago, and I would be lying if I said I wasn't scared. I wasn't scared of using and drinking, but the scaredness of being accustomed to something for so long, over 5 years. I was scared of change, not driving to Lexington, not working, you know what I'm saying? But today, that fear was the door opening for me. You know what I'm saying? And God put people in our life and some things happened and some doors opened and, but I remember the ride in the backseat of the Cadillac.
Yes, sir.
You had the tool belt, the chainsaw, the hacksaw, the mallet, the whatever you want to call tool utensils, man. And I remember, I still see it right here, right now. And I said, Stephen, it's time, bro. It's time. But just sit right here and think, if you didn't go out on the leap of faith, because you knew deep down that you could do it and you was going to do it, but yet just like I knew I could do what I'm doing and this and that and that and this, but if you hadn't have made that leap, we both wouldn't be in the position we are today. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what I try to explain to the new guys. Listen, fear. We all get scared. I'm 42 years old, and anxiety, life shows up, kids, marriage, just being a man. And doing the right thing. But, if your heart's right and your motives are right, listen, every time we got down, God would say, here you go. Here
Yep.
you go. And
Yep.
if you're out there, man, and you're going through hard times right now, man, pray hard, pray hard, pray hard. Um, and something is going to come into your life, man, to be the changing point in your life. Like, I want everybody to succeed, but it takes us to walk through that door. We can't let the door stay shut. You know what I'm saying? If God is speaking to you to make this move and you know it's the right move to make, it's time to make a move. Like, I tell dudes, I didn't get clean and sober to stay in neutral. And what I mean by that is I grab another gear. Like, I'm probably in 10th gear right now. You know what I mean? I don't know how many more gears is left before I get to where I want to be, but you can't climb a ladder with the hands in your pocket. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Yep.
But I'm grateful for you, man, because, even then you helped me and you helped me today. But, you're humble and anytime that I get these kids get on my nerves, I'm like, I'm not the only one. You hear me? Like I'm
Yeah.
not the only one aggravated. I'm not the only one because, for me, I'm just now being a father, man, and it gets hard sometimes for real.
Yeah, it does.
Like,
Yeah.
I can get on here and say this, man, but drugs and alcohol is not going to fix the problem.
Not at all.
The problem is I don't know how to take care of my kids, and I
Mhm.
got to ask somebody, "Hey, bro, how do I take care of this?" Or call my
Yeah.
wife, "Hey, Marie,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she pulls my man card every day. But
Yeah.
just being free, man, being able to help somebody, being a service to others, man, giving back what was freely given to us, man. That's how we grow. And I
Yep.
had an awesome weekend, man. I scheduled 2 speaking engagements, which will never happen again. I was wore out time I got home, man. But a lot of people comes up, man, I'm proud of you, man. You helped me. You do. I said, listen, I'm just a messenger, man. It's God. Like, I can't take no credit. I just show up, and it is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But if you're out there, man, you're having a bad day. You're not the only one. Like, I had a bad day yesterday, and I just all up in my head because we fight these voices every day. You can't. Something's going to happen. What if? Coulda, shouldas, and wouldas. But you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
God didn't bring us this far to shut the door on us. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we're going to wrap it up, Stephen. Give us a hope shot if you want to before we close out, man. I appreciate you. I love you. And
Love
keep shining. Boy.
Right. Right. Well, hopefully, something I said can help somebody change their life. Hopefully, I gave somebody some hope because that's really all we can do at the end of the day is share our experience and hope somebody gets something out of it. So one thing that I left out is that my mother passed away in December of 2020, and my mother was in active addiction when she passed away. But I wanted her to get clean, right? But what I've realized is that even though she didn't get clean, she was grateful that I was clean and she was proud of me. So that's one thing that I wanna share with somebody is that if I'm not working a program, if I'm just trying to do this thing Stephen's way without a spiritual program, without recovery, it's only a matter of time until I use.
Yep.
Because this disease, if I really have the disease of addiction, it is eventually going to kill me. Its job is to kill me. But if I'm working a program, I can get through anything clean. I can get through fatherhood clean. I can get through crazy women clean. I can get through the loss of my mother. I can get through anything that life throws at me and still stay clean and get through it with some dignity and some grace. So if you're out there listening right now and you don't know whether you can stay clean or not, I surrendered to a program and it changed my life. And if it can happen for me, it can happen for you too. So that's all I got.
That's good stuff, bro. That's good stuff. Listen, I love you. I appreciate you, and hopefully I'll see you this week sometime, man. If you need me, holler, and keep doing
I'll
what
be
you're
down
doing,
there
bro.
Thursday.
All right. Love you, man.
Love you too, man.
See you, bro.
Yeah.
Powerful message, Stephen Kilwell, man. If you're struggling, man, hit him up. He's on Facebook Messengers. He's busy. If you're out there struggling, man, there's men and women's bed available. Protea, Jasmine's house. We've got recovery homes all over, inpatient, IOP, whatever, man. My number is 859-300-1503. My wife's number is 859-319-4787. Hell has an exit, but you got to lay your shovel down, man. Pull the pillow out and call that your rock bottom and say those 3 words, I need help. I never dreamed, and I'm sure Kidwell could say the same thing, I never dreamed I'd be in the position doing what I'm doing, do what I love to do, and I love to help people. I came from homeless, suicidal, $2 needle junkie. I ain't had a bath in 30 days, ain't shaved in God knows how long. To today, I'm married, I'm a father, and I'm blessed. Electric bill, AC's on, pop and Red Bulls in the refrigerator. My bills are paid. Just put a security system in our house today to protect my family, because that's what normal people do. You feel me? Huh? Just amazing. Shout out to my wife. I love you. Shout out to Matthew Durkin. He's in here. Gordy, I love you. Aaron Heath. I'm going to give some shout outs and we're going to wrap it up. It's 10 o'clock at night. Amy Fields, we love you. Protea, we love all y'all. Rob Fields, Terry. I think I didn't see Jen on here. We love you all. Arlene Thacker, we love you. You know, and this platform's not about me, man. It's about the messenger and the guests that I bring on here, man. You know, it takes a lot to share your story on here. It really does, because this video goes from Texas to California. It's on YouTube, and, you know, it takes a lot to share your story, but your story could change someone's life. One word out of your sentence, man, could change somebody's life. Emily Highsclope, I see you. Irvin Southwood, I see you. Mwah. Sandy Spalding. Monica Robinson, I see you. We was talking about Carlton C on here a while ago. Huh? Where's he at? Daniel Kitchen, Cody Sparks, I love you, man. But listen, we're going to wrap this up, man. If you're out there struggling, reach out, man. Hit that share button. Let's get this message out. Steven's got a powerful message, man. He's the real deal. There's nothing uncut about him. You know, either you're working recovery or working on a relapse. It's plain and simple. You know, you're the problem. God could and would if he were sought. Listen, we love you all. I will see you next Monday. Listen to this song going out. My intro and outro was by Dollar Green, Ricky J. Green. It's powerful. I should have got Steven to sing on here. We're out of here. I love y'all.
You ain't got cold chills. Something's wrong with you. Gotta know it. You in the wrong building. Know where to turn.
I could really use a friend right now. Yeah, I just need a friend. I'm staring at my window pane. I'm staring at my window pane. I could use a friend. I could use a friend. I just need a friend right now. Right now. I'm staring at my window pane.
I'm counting raindrops. Like, where's God at? When will the pain stop? Like, when will this be over? How come I can't stop? I swear to God, I can't stop. I ain't believing God, still I would pray to him. When no one else around, when they brought them trays to him. Like, where my rider dies, it's like I was dead to him. This is my window pane, I view the
I'm
world
staring
through.
at my window pane. I'm staring at my window pane.
Like, where's
I could use a friend. I could use a friend.